Hello, everyone. My name is Cristina Montoya. I'm the arthritis dietitian. I've been a rheumatoid arthritis and Sjogren's warrior for over 20 years. I really hope you're enjoying the Arthritis Life Hack Extravaganza 2023. And I'm honored to present something dear to my heart: how to explore nutrition without becoming stressed and confused. I will do my best. So, what's cooking today? Really, I just want to check if you're feeling stressed and confused. We're gonna run some fact or fiction, and is there such a thing as an anti-inflammatory diet for arthritis? Before we begin, when we allow ourselves to become culturally conditioned to believe that we are not enough, it damages our souls. This is from the wonderful Brene Brown on her book, The Gifts of Imperfection. And there you go. Are we being culturally conditioned to follow a certain pattern? Is the social media or influencers or anybody really trying to take advantage of our fears and just fill those gaps with fear mongering messages that is now or never, or is an all or nothing approach? Now I'm worried of all these artificial intelligence content creation that anyone can be an expert. So it's going to become even more and more stressful and confusing. But before that, is that I just want to bring out that foods are not the only trigger of your arthritis flare-ups. Foods is the one thing we can still control, right? So everything that has to do with diet, and then we'll say that we think of food is medicine, but we need to also recognize that there are other factors that could be impacting um, the success of our treatments or also triggering flare-ups. Weather changes. It's super cold in Canada. High disease activity, physical and mental stress, lifestyle choices. Know that the smoking and this excessive alcohol intake can have an impact on inflammation and disease control. Too much activity or no activity. Hormonal changes. I'm not even gonna go there. I'm I started my 40s, and I know what it comes with the perimenopause and menopause, infections, poor sleep. So please, whenever you are considering your journaling anything related to foods, also journal what other environmental factors or external factors are involved in those food choices and symptoms. So some of those red flags, fear mongering messages is you have to do it today or never. You're never going to be cured. Quick fixes, false promises. The one that really bothers me are those who promote extreme elimination diets plus expensive supplements. They typically use irrelevant research. They promote this as a protocol, and I'm very careful with the word protocol and when it comes from and how credible it is, because they tend to be a one size fits all approach. And I can assure you, you know your body best. So that but certain protocols, they just don't fit within my lifestyle or my disease activity or how I feel about foods or my cultural preferences. So be very careful with that. Let's just kind of debunk some of these myths that they're still lingering around after 20 years. I'm still hearing about them. So eating nightshade plants result in joint inflammation. Mm, well, shades are the include commonly consumed fruits, vegetables, and spices, such as cayenne, pepper, paprika, hot peppers, potatoes, and tomatoes. But I will say that the most demonized nightshades are tomatoes and eggplants for some reason. they The reality is that nightshades contain solanine, which is an alkaloid isolated in all nightshades, and can be toxic if eaten in more than 200 milligrams per kilogram. But if let's put this into perspective, 1 kilogram of potatoes have zero point 0.2 milligrams of solanine. So I would say that it's safe to consume. But if you feel that you're very sensitive to solanine, really potatoes are the ones when you see the green potatoes, or that's where there's a high concentration of solanine. So then I will probably toss that potato. Also in the stems of the vegetables, that's where the highest concentration of solanine is. So if you're sensitive to solanine, that's where it is. Remember that nightshades vegetables actually incredibly rich in nutrients that are anti-inflammatory, such as vitamin C, carotene, lycopene, fiber, capsaicin, anthocyanins. Those are like potent nutrients or components with anti-inflammatory properties. Let's go for dairy products. Are they inflammatory? But let's recognize that dairy products are excellent sources of nutrients for muscle and bone health. They are super rich in protein, calcium, potassium, phosphorus, and vitamin D. We also need to recognize that there are some people that have a protein allergy, which can trigger an immune response. In that case, you must eliminate dairy products. And then we have lactose intolerance, that it's really more about the discomfort rather than an inflammatory response. And this is related to a deficiency in the lactose enzyme. But fermented dairy products already had processed some of these um, lactose, and so they are better tolerated for people who have lactose intolerance. Current evidence does not support that eliminating dairy products from your diet will improve your arthritis. There's just not enough. Uh, but some studies do show that cow's milk is higher in A1B casein, which is a protein that tends to be more inflammatory at the gut level. And then the grass-fed cow's milk and goat's milk have higher levels of A2B casein, which is less inflammatory. So there is still a lot of controversy when it comes to dairy products, but it doesn't mean that you need to eliminate them 100%. So join us here. Lectins are anti-nutrients, and we should eliminate them completely. Just like the nightshades, legumes are packed with anti-inflammatory nutrients other and other important excellent sources of B vitamins that helps with metabolizing our energy and carbohydrates. They contain protein, zinc, soluble fiber, iron, selenium. So the health benefits far outweigh the potential harms. What is important to recognize with lectins containing foods such as legumes, chickpeas, black beans, white beans, it's important to try to eliminate as much as the lectins as possible. They are an anti-nutrient that could potentially be interfering with the absorption of calcium, iron, phosphorus, and zinc. But it doesn't mean that you have to eliminate them. What you need to do is to soak them in water. I even soak in water the canned beans and cooking in a high temperature cooking methods like pressure cooking or cooking for more than 10 minutes. That will eliminate most of the lectins in these products. So what is in research? So there's a growing a number of research showing the effects of certain foods in promoting low-grade inflammation and not just arthritis. So anything that like ultra-processed foods, excessive intake of omega-6 fatty acids, refined sugars, sugar alternatives like especially aspartame and sucralose, red meats because they contain high levels of advanced glycation and products, and they tend to stimulate more inflammation at the gut level. And also, red meats, it seems that there are certain bacteria, gut bacteria, that processes the red meats metabolites and produces a quite inflammatory component. I can't even pronounce the name. It is, yeah, I'm not going to pronounce it. But what is important to know is that the the human bodies cannot fully synthesize this component, and it promotes inflammation. There was this promising research that it was actually quite interesting. It was called NutriFast. It included 25 patients who were stable with their DMARD treatment or their arthritis treatment. Some of the patients who were excluded from this study, if they had an eating disorder, low body weight, psychiatric disorders. So they were looking to see if there's any benefits from fasting and a plant-based diet. So this protocol included a fasting period of 7 days, then a reintroduction of foods, plant-based diet, and intermittent fasting. So just talking about this protocol makes me anxious. So basically, they noted that there was some reduction in inflammation, but they still need to further review the results of this study. So I cannot really provide a definite answer to say, oh, this is the diet to follow. Um, just to, I'm just going to leave this here. This is the anti-inflammatory diet that was an open label trial with 20 patients. And what they tried to do is that by implementing an anti-inflammatory protocol, they identified that there was more diversity in the gut microbiome, and about 50% of patients improved fatigue. But at the end of the day, we go back to what is traditional and what has shown to be working over the past 50 years and reducing overall inflammation, and it's the Mediterranean diet or the Mediterranean way of eating, because it's more of a lifestyle. Here I provide an example of what a Mediterranean way of eating looks like. In reality, there is no definition of an anti-inflammatory diet yet. But from what I have worked with my clients through research and reviews, I come to the conclusion that an anti-inflammatory way of eating combines the Mediterranean way of a Mediterranean diet plus the inclusion of gut health promoting foods, and that combines um, an absolute approach to anti-inflammatory nutrition. The 2022 American College of Rheumatology Guideline for Exercise Rehabilitation and Diet for Rheumatoid Arthritis also recognized the Mediterranean diet as the gold standard diet to manage as part of the integrated management um, for people living with rheumatoid arthritis. It is complementary, it's not a replacement. So here I'll give you an example of the meal plan diet. And I want you to take away these 5 principles of anti-inflammatory way of eating. Is that you need to start healing your relationship with food and your body, right? If there's no such thing as one size fits all, nourish your gut. And how we can nourish your gut by eating 30 different plants plant foods weekly, and that's by implementing that anti-inflammatory way of eating, adding more flavored herbs and spices, and stay hydrated with water and green tea. So, how can you start building your anti inflammatory plate? Let's start thinking about adding instead of eliminating. That's mind shift. White rice for me is a staple, has been a staple my entire life. And so I will not replace it with brown rice. I don't like it. So, and in fact, we actually starting to understand that white rice actually contain less amounts of arsenic, which is a toxin that is absorbed from soil. And it seems that actually when the rice comes from like Pakistan, it tends to have less arsenic in it and white rice. White rice also, when it's cooked, cold, and reheated, it increases the amount of resistant starches, which are great for gut health. So we have to stop demonizing foods. We need to identify what works and how we can start incorporating adding more anti-inflammatory foods and ingredients into our diets. So here is I was doing my meal prep and I could add some of all these foods like frozen spinach. I use all the fruits and vegetables that I found in my fridge, legumes, rice, quinoa, using healthy fats like extra virgin olive oil. So that's what it's going to take to start an anti-inflammatory lifestyle is by adding anti-inflammatory food, is by making a small and attainable changes, is by dishing the diet mentality. It's just by staying hydrated because hunger is often mistaken for thirst. And if you're keeping a food journal, remember to write down all those other external factors that might be triggering symptoms, like the ones I mentioned earlier in my presentation. Also, make sure that you are reading from credible sources of nutrition information. Ask questions. Ask your healthcare providers, your physicians, your registered dietitians. Reach out to organization like patient organizations, Arthritis Societies of Canada, Arthritis Foundation, Sjogren's Society of Canada, Sjogren's Foundation, and so many others. And I relaunched my website. So I'm adding all this information that I'm trying to use all the most credible information as much as I can possibly can, and make it tangible and easy to understand. So now let's part ways with Brene Brown. Cultivate self-compassion and let go of perfectionism. I believe I'm worthy of love and respect. I believe I deserve to receive the right, incredible information to move forward and to cope with my illnesses. And I am having so much fun with my kitchen clean out challenge. I honestly didn't realize that we honestly our anti-inflammatory lifestyle starts in the kitchen, right? So for all the VIP participants, you will have access to this 5-day kitchen clean out challenge. I really enjoy creating this presentation. Please feel free to send me any email or follow me at Arthritis Dietitian, or check out my website at arthritisdietitian.com. That it will continue to grow with more content. So thank you so much for being here. I'll stay for another 10 minutes if you have any questions. Have a wonderful day.